Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, May 29th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. We've got David in Raleigh, who is beyond excited, as you would imagine, with his team one win away from the Stanley Cup final. And it's been a long time coming for the Hurricanes. We will see if they can close it out tonight in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. Montreal Canadiens, Carolina Hurricanes. We'll tee that up in just a moment. There was no NHL hockey last night, but I know many of us were dialed into the AHL Western Conference Finals last night. Congrats to the Chicago Wolves. I know Alex very happy about that. A nice Game 1 victory on the road over the Colorado Eagles last night to take a 1-0 series lead. And both road teams get the job done in Game 1 of the AHL Conference Finals. Toronto beat Wilkes-Barre Scranton in Game 1 on Wednesday night, and Chicago follows suit with a nice road win last night there in Colorado. So yeah, no NHL hockey last night, but there was still AHL playoff hockey to watch, and good to see Chicago get the victory. And I know, Alex, you were happy about that.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of, as far as from a personal standpoint, that's the team that I'm rolling with. You got me?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing. All right. Yeah. So yeah. From a personal standpoint, like I said, super happy to see the Wolves win. That's kind of the team that I'm following now at this point. Of course, like we said, even though we got the games going in with the Stanley Cup playoffs, of course, and we'll be talking about that. But it's funny because obviously Carolina in the one win away from their Cup final, but now their affiliate playing well too. And you've got while we saw the Colorado Avalanche get bounced out, get swept, their affiliate, the Colorado Eagles, and a lot of those guys, we've saw chip in late in the regular season, kind of get called up and fill in spots during those playoff runs. They all were chipping in and playing very well for the Colorado Eagles. So you have that in these Final Four of the AHL. You got guys who were on teams that were playing in the playoffs, and then that momentum kind of carries over when they come back down, gives a little bit of energy. But Carolina, the franchise, is trying to look for the old double there, potentially with the Wolves and of course the Canes. Looking to move on.
No doubt. All right, David, just give us a lay of the land here. Game day, chance to clinch a punch a ticket to the Stanley Cup final. Of course, it's been a long time. We're talking about Carolina in the Cup final, 2006, when they won it, obviously, with Rod Brind'Amour as captain, now trying to get there again with Rod Brind'Amour as head coach. Just tell us the vibe. What's it like there, being there in the Raleigh area? I'm sure it's a lot of excitement and just a lot of anticipation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something we're really used to. I mean, you're used to having high expectations and just being nervous and just kind of being, you get through the first two matchups in the playoffs, and then you just don't know where to go from there. So nobody's really had this feeling of confidence, like looking at going to the Cup in the way that it is here right now. I mean, just the level of excitement. I mean, tonight's just going to be incredible inside Lenovo. It's just going to be so loud. This might be the most electric atmosphere because all these people who have been waiting 20 years to see something like this are all going to be in the house tonight. I don't think there's anybody who's a diehard Caniac that's not going to be in the building tonight. It's just for these road games, every single bar in Raleigh, I mean, every single bar is filled. It's just everybody's bought in, and I mean, it's our baby here in Raleigh. This is what everybody cares about. This is what everybody's fired up for, like nothing else. So it's just it's kind of emotional, to be completely honest. But I'm very, very excited for tonight, and hopefully we can get it done.
Now I got to ask you guys, both of you, what were you doing on June 1st, 2006? That would be the last time that we saw Carolina get a win to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals, a 4-2 win at home against the Buffalo Sabres. You guys remember what you were doing that day?
Oh boy!
So actually, my first like conscious memory is when we did win the Cup in 2006. Can't remember the series before that. I can't say I was bought enough. I just turned 6, but my first real conscious memory I can say is when we did win the cup and go into the parade and all and things like that. And I actually got to go to a game. So that, I mean, it's awesome. It's pretty weird feeling to know that I haven't really gotten to fully experience that. And I know a lot of other, I mean, Raleigh's grown so much in the last 20 years since 2006. So there's a lot of diehard Canes fans who have never gotten to experience that and live in that moment. So it's a great feeling, and it's great to see. I mean, it's fun winning in the first 2 rounds, but uh, most of our fans have never really gotten to experience the excitement of having these super meaningful wins. Like Torts, I think said, like I think he said the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, and then it's playing for the cup. And we haven't really gotten to experience that. It's fun winning those games. When no offense to the Islanders and stuff, but I mean, it's not much of a series, but it's fun getting to these games that are going to be tough, and you're anxious for it, and it's really exciting, honestly. And you can feel that energy here in the city.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great description. Really well done to give us a lay of the land, how it's going there. I know all I know is 20 years ago, I was getting out of college still, just finishing up at college and thinking I'm going into database programming, and then made a U-turn 2-3 years later into this. And we've been doing it pretty much ever since. So, and I was a little bit skinnier back then, 20 years ago as well. We put on a lot of beer weight the last several years. That's another story. Before we get into the game tonight, we do want to mention this. I mean, Claude Lemieux yesterday, that news just absolutely hit me like a rock yesterday. I could not believe what I was hearing, that he had passed away. Absolutely awful news. Sad, 60 years old, way too young. We just saw him obviously carrying the torch for the Montreal Canadiens prior to Game 3 at the Bell Center Monday night. He looked like he was in great spirits, obviously, at that time. And what's even more sad is that apparently, based on the people I've heard in the Montreal area, there was like this post-game get-together. You know, Claude Lemieux, Chris Nyland, a lot of former players, including players that played for the Habs. And Claude Lemieux, they said, looked like he was doing great, feeling great. You know, he was, telling some stories, having a good time, after Game 3, when they brought him in, obviously, and then to see this just days later, man, just taking his own life. It's so sad, and you feel for, obviously, his entire family. Brendan Lemieux, a heartbreaking post on social media from him, the son of Claude Lemieux, of course, longtime NHL and pro hockey player. Just absolutely gutted for the entire family, the kids, the hockey world, the Montreal Canadiens and Colorado Avalanche organized. New Jersey, he played there as well, multiple Stanley Cup champion. As a player, he was as fierce, as hard-nosed a competitor as I've ever seen in my lifetime watching NHL hockey. And I always thought he was a guy that, in the regular season, you'll notice Claude Lemieux, and he'll do some big-time things to help your team win. He took it to another level in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He was always one of those players that ended up elevating his game in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, and in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Did it all the time. Montreal's first cup was 1986 with them when they beat the Calgary Flames, Lanny McDonald and the Calgary Flames that year in 1986, just at the beginning of Claude Lemieux's NHL career. Of course, New Jersey won cups there, and of course Colorado later in his career as well. And you know what's amazing about just what kind of guy he was off the ice? Look, would he cross some lines and push the envelope as a player in some instances? Yes, and nobody knows that like the Detroit Red Wings, and specifically Chris Draper. We all know the Chris Draper, Claude Lemieux incident in the playoffs during those Red Wings Avs wars. But the fact that Chris Draper, Darren McCarty, who he had a legendary tilt with in 1997, and McCarty stepped up to challenge Claude Lemieux because of that hit in the playoffs the year before against Draper, which they didn't like, and it was vicious. One of the more vicious hits you'll ever see. And at the end of the day, McCarty obviously, look, it's pay your comeuppance now. You took our guy out. Well, you're going to answer for it now. And McCarty and Lemieux just had this unbelievable scrap in 1997. And the fact that went down, one of the more grisly on-ice, incidents of violence that you'll see with the Draper-Lemieux thing. And at the end of the day, there's Darren McCarty issuing words of condolence. It just speaks that it's about the human being at the end of the day. Off the ice, it has to be separated from on the ice. And from all indications, he's a great guy off the ice. No issues there. No issues whatsoever. Always treated everybody well off the ice. Fun to be around. And all you have to know is Chris Draper and Darren McCarty, who had wars with this guy in the playoffs some 30 years ago, issuing words of condolence, remembrance, and overall just talking about the great, times they had. Hell, they mended the fences, and Claude Lemieux was basically celebrating Darren McCarty's birthday in person like a few years ago. There was a little clip of that. So at the end of the day, it's just horrible news. He was a great player, great career, multiple Stanley Cup champion, multiple time Stanley Cup champion. Always, I thought, elevated his game in the big moments, and just stunning news because all of us saw him just days earlier as the torchbearer for the Montreal Canadiens before Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. So rest in peace, Claude Lemieux. You'll be missed, and just, Alex, it's heartbreaking stuff. Really, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough whenever a member of this community loses their life, but especially in this kind of way. And suicide is such a heavy thing that affects all of us in one way or another. And like I said, when you see a person, especially in that kind of literal light, that the torch lighting in Montreal, and that's such a big deal and such a big moment before those games, and the emotion of that. And I'm sure, like I said, for every Montreal Canadian, that there's a meaning to that, especially when you've won cups, you've been through those battles, and then you're hanging out with the guys and talking about the old stories and things, and sometimes it can get heavy going back and telling stories. And I don't know if that's the case of what happened, but it's just so sad and so tragic to, like I said, see him in such good spirits. But then that's often the case when you're talking about, something like suicide. There's, times where you see people and they look like they're doing good. They look like they're doing fine, battling through things, and you just don't know. That's why it's important to talk to your loved ones, talk to your family, talk to your friends, check in on people, and make sure that they're good, because it can look like one thing on the outside, but you don't really always know what people are dealing with on the inside. And it's just it's absolutely heartbreaking. So my condolences to his family, his friends, the fans in Montreal, New Jersey, and Colorado, who remember those years. Like I said, we grew up watching those. I'm a Hawks fan, but I grew up watching that Detroit Colorado series. I actually had the picture of the big group brawl from that game, that playoff game, in my 8th grade yearbook. So that's a hockey moment that a lot of people our age remember. And he was a big part of that. And like you said, a great guy off the ice from all the accounts that I've heard as well. And that's the game that we talk about, right? We always talk about answering the bell and sticking up for your teammates. And sometimes maybe you cross that line, but you play the game hard and you give it everything you got. Claude Lemieux did that, but he also was a quality individual off the ice as well, and with his family and his friends. And to have that split, it's just it's sad. It's really sad. So rest in peace.
It is sad. Rest in peace indeed. Now, David, I don't expect you to give too many accounts of Claude's career. A little bit, obviously, too young, obviously, to remember him playing. But I will say this, just to get you in on this, and say this. We've seen in this series already, Montreal, Carolina, that Carolina Hurricanes are a pretty class organization. They had the guy sing the anthem in French, in Game 1, I think it was, which was really nice. I would be absolutely shocked if they don't do some kind of moment. They will. No question about it, for Claude Lemieux pregame tonight. Yeah.
That was actually going to say that before. Even just playing against Montreal, even if we weren't playing against them, knowing that's Anderson's agent and Brendan Lemieux's father, that there's going to be a very long and heartfelt tribute tonight. It's going to be kind of cool to see. I think everybody appreciating that and appreciating the hockey. And I just know that there's going to be a very good tribute. And I'm sure that it's touching our players a lot, the same as it's touching the Habs players as well, knowing that obviously he's a friend of Freddie Anderson's, and they know him
yes.
too. So it's it's just going to be a powerful moment. And yeah, just sad all around. He was looking great coming in with the torch, but you just
He
never know
was. That's why
somebody's
it's
health.
shocking. He looked great. No health issues, nothing. Looked
Right.
content, looked happy. And
Right.
yeah,
And you just never know.
well,
But yeah,
never know.
it's going to be a cool moment tonight, though.
It certainly will. It certainly will. It will be a little bit cooler though for the Hurricanes fans if a W can follow though
This is
tonight
true.
here in Game 5. So with that in mind, we will segue into Game 5 tonight in the Eastern Conference Final, Montreal, Carolina. We're seeing Carolina now minus 250 home favorites, biggest money line favorite they have been clearly in this series. And there's been an adjustment because let's be honest, Montreal's had their teeth kicked in 3 games in a row essentially. So that's why we're seeing the Carolina at this kind of a price, 5.5 the total here in this game. Carolina 3-1 series lead, looking to finish it. It's really not, from what I've seen here with Montreal, they're not making many changes, or if any. You know, at this point, if I'm Marty St. Louis, look, I know I'm up against it, right? We're having issues. I think the compounding of the 7-game series, but back-to-back rounds against Tampa Bay and Buffalo, it's adding up to because you're physically getting worn down, beaten down. Give Carolina credit. They're targeting Cole Caulfield. They're targeting Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and especially Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson has been just absolutely pulverized from a physical standpoint in this series, whether it's Taylor Hall smashing him into the boards in a game where he's hobbling after that, where William Carrier, gets up into his grill in the game 3 it was. And of course, they score the overtime winner not long after that. They have really made him pay a physical toll. And I think they're just wearing Montreal down, and it's been very difficult for them to generate their speed through the neutral zone. It hasn't helped that Carolina has scored the first goal in all 4 games in this series because then, you can just basically tighten things up even more. Although I will point out, Montreal did a great job responding with the second goal in Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3 until we got to, of course, Game 4, where it became 1-0 Carolina, and bang, bang, they got the next 2 goals right after that to take a 3-0 lead. I'm just a little surprised that Marty St. Louis just won't say, you know what, our team's beaten up mentally. Certainly fatigue and physical wear and tear is adding up. Some live legs couldn't hurt. Putting in a fresh body couldn't hurt. I'm not saying it's going to be the turning point in the series, but at some point, I think I would open the door to a Brendan Gallagher. I know there's a lot of Canadiens fans that are trying to plead with Martin St. Louis to get him in the lineup. And I know there's foot speed issues. We're not immune. We're not sugarcoating that or, deflecting from that. But at some point in time, whether it's, you tried Kapanen. I mean, it's not like you have a ton of issues. You have Florian Jackey's up with this team, Arber's brother, Brendan Gallagher. You go back to Kapanen again. Does Owen Beck get a chance? Owen Beck was recently called up from Laval after they got knocked out in the first round of the AHL playoffs. I don't know. I just feel like maybe, putting in a fresh body, someone that's going to come into the lineup, have a little, extra energy because they haven't been playing this grind of the, how many games now? 18 games in the playoffs like the Montreal Canadiens have. I'm not saying that's going to change things, but maybe it's going to give you a little bit of a better, at least a shot in the arm, a little more energy. But I don't think Marty St. Louis is going to do that. Looks like it's going to be status quo, largely the same lineup as Game 4. Maybe the one change I'm hearing is that maybe Struble comes out and Arber Xhekaj goes in tonight. That could be the one change on the blue line. But other than that, it looks like Montreal's keeping things as they are. We know Rod Brind'Amour is going to keep things as they are for Carolina with the way they're rolling along right now. Obviously, this is an elimination game. Everyone in the world thinks it's over tonight. You understand why a lot of people think that with what we've seen. It's just been utter domination the last 3 games in this series for Carolina. I'm kind of in that boat. I have a hard time buying into, Montreal extending this series and sending it back to Game 6. So we'll see how that goes. What I'm going to do here is if Carolina gets the lead, I'm going to move on live team totals and puck lines with Carolina, alt puck lines, alt team totals. But I want to make sure they get that first goal first before they do that. But I would be interested in that live. As far as pregame bets, you know where we're going. I mean, there's not really much more to add at this point. The single best bet for me here is, once again, the first period over. I mean, it's 11 straight games. for Montreal. First period overs cashed in the playoffs for them. It's 4-0 in this series so far, and we could get it a bunch of different ways. Maybe it's going to be 2-0 Carolina to get us to the first period over like last night or game 4. Or maybe it will be 1-1. Montreal gets on the board in the first period, which they had done in all 3 games in this series up until game 4. And I'm going to go back to that here tonight. Look, Montreal has to go into this game thinking we got to take the lead. We got to go up 1-0 for the first time in this series. If we're going to even entertain the possibility that we can win this game and extend this back to the Bell Center for game 6, we have to have a lead and play with it for a change. Because Carolina scored the first goal in all 4 games, and other than game 1 when Carolina was discombobulated with the layoff, the first goal for Carolina in 2, 3, and 4 led to them controlling the flow, controlling the game. Montreal's got to come into this and say, if we're going to give ourselves any sort of realistic chance to extend this series, we got to get on the board first. And they have still scored the first period goal in 15 of their 18 playoff games and 3 of the 4 games in this series. Game 4 was the first time in this series that they hadn't scored a first period goal. And the price is as cheap as I've ever seen it in this series for Montreal to get a first period goal. It's minus 104 right now at FanDuel, which is very, very cheap. So I'm going to get in on that a little bit. My favorite bet here is clearly first period over once again here in this game. And like I said, if Carolina gets that first goal, which I think is going to be just that, oh my God, that sinking fucking feeling for Montreal going in on them again. If they fall behind, Alex and David, I could see it. 1-0 Carolina lead. Oh boy, here we go again. It's over, fellas. I think that mentality could creep in, especially when your body's feeling it from all the games they've played. And that's why if it gets to 1-0 Carolina, they get on the board first. I'm going to attack a live Carolina team total over, a live Carolina puck line at that point. I think that could be one of these deals where it could get away if Carolina gets on the board first from the Montreal Canadiens once again. So that's really the approach that I'm going to take here in this game. I will sprinkle pregame small, very small, on the over 5.5. But my intention is we get our first period over, we get the 2 goals minimum in the first, and we could have that dead period again where we don't have a goal for a long period of time. And there might be a time where we could get a 4.5 in game, maybe even a 3.5. That might be a little strong, maybe thinking it would fall that low to a 3.5 at some point, but it's possible, if it slows down after the first period scoring flurry. So I'm more so interested in attacking a live 3.5 or 4.5 total, if it appears at some point in this game. And I'll be on the empty net props too, empty net goal, and Carolina specifically to score the empty net goal. Of course, you can find those at BetMGM. Alex, what do you think here? Game 5, Montreal, Carolina.
We were talking about it before we got on air, and we said, if you go all the way back to the 2012 Kings, and then you go into the 13 Hawks, you go through the Pittsburgh teams, Tampa Bay, Florida, all the teams that have won the Cup over that span, this time, they play suffocating defense at the right time and the right moments. Clinching games, you see them just, go through spurts of series where they're just, everything's just shut down defensively. And that's where Carolina is at right now. They're getting the absolute best goaltending that you'll ever get from Frederik Andersen at any point in any time of the year, or any point in any time of a season in his career. You're getting quality defense. You're getting guys that are, not necessarily always throwing the body in the regular season, throwing the body more, clogging up the passing lane, clogging up shot zones. Everything's going well defensively for Carolina, and that's the reason why they're in this spot, and that's the reason why they're playing well. And that's the kind of play that breaks the team more than anything else. It's not the 6, 7, 8 goal routes. We don't get those at this point. This is all about playing that structured defensive hockey that coaches talk about all regular season long. Okay, and then they go out and maybe lose a game 6-3. But they talk about it, they preach about it, they bark about it during practice, and it's about the teams that it sinks in for them now, and they're executing it now at this point in late May and in June, and that's what Carolina's doing. And I think that's broken Montreal, except they're getting hammered physically. They're not getting those offensive chances they were getting all regular season long. And this just seems to be, the end of the road here for the Habs. It's been a great run. It's been a great season. They're not going to fall off a cliff. This is a team that's still going to be, I think, right in the pack in the East. Martin St. Louis has done an incredible job with this team, and I think he'll continue to do an incredible job with this team. But this is Carolina's time right now. This is it, and to do it at home in Canes country, you said almost 20 years to the day, with two days short of 20 years to the day when you won at home in a Game 7 to get to Cup final that you end up winning. I think we see that momentum here. I think Carolina gets on the board first again. I think Carolina will take care of business with a late empty net goal. And I like Carolina to get this victory here. So obviously I'm not playing money line minus 250, but I will be on that. Like I said, first goal, first period. I'm laying $1.10. That's fine. You've been giving me plus money all this series and been cashing with it. So keep on rolling and lay that little short price. First period over. Liking that as well, of course. Shout out to Bet Online, who actually has second period and third period totals and puck lines up at their book for this game. Something you do not see with them too often. Third period over, I might grab a little piece of that over 2 minus $1.02, but I'll probably obviously, like I said, you look to add a little bit more on in game. And like I said, Carolina not getting the best of price with them to score the empty net goal. You're looking at plus 165, but I'll be grabbing that along with just any empty net goal plus 105 as well.
You know what was great too? People were starting to panic, right? A little, not a panic, but because they were as the hottest line in the playoffs at the beginning of the postseason. But maybe some people saying, it's been a little quieter the last handful of games for Hall, Stankoven, and Blake. Well, they're not worried anymore. That was obviously they made their impact in Game 4, and I got to shout out this guy for Carolina before we even go further, and shout out to Jacob Slavin, because Game 1's about as bad as you'll ever see him play. And since then, he's looking like Jacob Slavin again, which you expected. Obviously, you didn't expect him to play like that again. But, Chatfield, Walker, Gostisbehere, Nikishin. But I want to especially shout out Keandre Miller. He has been not good, great. He has been spectacular in these playoffs. Do you know he actually got more ice time in Game 4 than even Slavin did? And Rod Brindamore sees it. This guy's a beast. He's a tower of power. He's a pillar of strength right now on that Carolina blue line. Doing it all. 8 points in 12 playoff games, blocking shots left and right, in great defensive position, except for the one play in Game 1. But everybody was fucked in that game for Carolina. Everyone was just not doing what we expected them to do. Other than that, he's been spectacular. He's been shutting things down, been blocking shots, he's been good defensively, he's been piling up points. What a read he had to just lug that puck in the offensive zone, throw it in front, and then Jordan Stahl was there for obviously that big goal in the first period. In Game 4 the other night. Keandre Miller it's a coming out party, and it's an absolute theft from the New York Rangers now. What Tulsky, he only gave up. Scott Morrow was a freaking nightmare in the postseason last year for the Carolina Hurricane, and to think that Keandre Miller is a big part of replacing that guy, and look at what you're getting from Keandre Miller right now. He's been absolutely phenomenal for the Carolina Hurricanes. He has moved into that pecking order now at the moment, with his level of play being what it is. Next most important defenseman after Slavin, probably on this blue line right now, easily. He's been absolutely remarkable, and good on him. Good on him, because the Ranger tenure did not go the way he wanted. People questioning, is he ever going to live up to the billing? People thought he could be a pretty damn good two-way defenseman. We're seeing it right now, especially in this series with Keandre Miller for the Carolina Hurricanes. David, I know you're counting down the hours. What do you think here for Game 5?
Oh, yeah, like you were saying about Keandre Miller. I mean, the thing that I love best about it is we always knew he had the ability and the upside and things like that. But when he came over from the Rangers, people were making comments about decision-making and forcing turnovers in really bad spots. And, I mean, you're seeing now he's playing with so much confidence. He's making fantastic decisions. He's always where you need him to be. And he's not, I mean, he's now, as the season goes on, you can see him on the second power play unit, often taking the puck into the zone on his own. He's driving the play as if he was a winger at some time. So it's really cool to watch his game grow, because his skating is just incredible. His positioning has gotten better and better as the season's gone on. And I would even, as much as I love Slavin, I would say Keandre Miller, his ability, now that he's kind of found that Slavin stick ability and all that, I think, and I'd argue he's the most he's the most important defenseman on the team. It's just been incredible to watch him play, and he's just dominated analytically, everything like that. I find it would be pretty poetic for him to score tonight. I think you can get that in the plus 1,000 range. I find it. He's been very involved. He's getting a ton of ice time, like you were saying, and he's been very involved, skating the puck into the zone and taking chances on the offensive end. But yeah, I'm not going to quite victory lap it yet, but I remember after the first game last week on here, I was saying the rest of the series is going to look a lot like the second period of game one, and it has not. It could not look any more like that. Just completely dominating the puck, keeping the puck in the zone, just shutting down everything Montreal has, and it's so exciting. And it's gone exactly like that the second period of game one, and it's just incredible to watch. And I just don't see how this team lets up tonight. Like this is not a spot that we've been in before. They're not going to take it for granted. It's going to be electric in there, and I struggle to see how Montreal shows up. Like we spoke on, they've played so many overtime games, so many emotional games. There's been a lot of mental and physical fatigue put into all these series. You're looking at the first year, you're looking at the Buffalo series, and I mean the mental and emotional, just the energy in all those buildings, going to overtime again in Game 7. And now you have to go play a Carolina team who's just going to go full go at you the entire game every single night. And it's hard to compete with. And they spent the first couple games getting in front of every single shot. They were jumping in front of everything. And how long can that hold up after they just played all those games in such a short amount of time? And you could kind of see that as it got to game 4, that they didn't have the energy to jump in front of these shots like they did in the first 2 games. I mean, there's only so long that you can block half the shot attempts and keep skating and putting the energy to get in front of the puck. So, yeah, it kind of feels like they're going to be a little checked out and think, where do we go from here? It's just mentally draining on home ice to get embarrassed in that way. I mean, that was probably the most impressive Canes game I've ever seen us play in the last in forever, and it's on the road in Montreal.
I don't
in
think
the
that's
playoffs.
fan speak. I mean, that's a team that's down 3-0. They have to have the game. They're at home. They don't get a shot for over 16 minutes in the third period. Are you kidding?
It was just an incredible. I mean, that's what I expect to see tonight too. There is no reason for us to sit back on our hands and look on to the Stanley Cup. I mean, if there's ever going to be a night that they're going to cash in, they hear it. They know the pressure of competing in the conference finals. They've been, I mean, most of our core like Aho and Stahl have been hearing it for 6 years, and now you get the chance to completely cash in. I think this is one of those games where the foot is just on the gas, full throttle all the way through. I don't know how Montreal keeps up with the speed. It's going to be so electric in there, and I think the Canes just keep the puck the entire game. And I think this is a game that ends 5-1, 6-1. To be completely honest, I think it's just going to be a completely mental and emotional fatigued game, and I don't see how Montreal shows up for this one. To be completely honest, they kind of, so to speak, they came out and you have that game 1. They had a good showing in game 1, and you kind of get your excitement up, and you've used all your energy, and now it's just completely deflating. So, yeah, I'm really excited about tonight. I think if you're going to target some props, you're looking at defensemen. I think the Canes are going to hold the zone. I mean, you're looking at all the statistics. Montreal allows the second most shots on goal to defensemen in the league. I think the Canes are just going to completely dominate the zone. I know I shared it on the last one, but game 3 almost. Everybody was firing the puck, and the Montreal they're not jumping in front of the puck like they were in the first couple of games. So these defenseman shots on goal are getting through, and you're seeing the goals like Gostisbehere getting in on the play. Nikishin, I think, is one to target. He's got 22 shot attempts in the first 4 games. So I think guys like that, I think he's around the plus 1100 ballpark. Keandre Miller in the plus 900 ballpark. These are guys that are going to be firing the puck tonight. And the Canes are going to keep the puck in the zone, in the Montreal zone, the whole game, and just be firing from the blue line. And that's what we've seen the last 2 games, especially. So, yeah, I think that the Keandre Miller shots on goal over, Nikishin anytime goal scorer, some things I like. Sean
Well,
Walker
just to your
has been
point,
firing.
just to your point about the defensemen, Sean Walker and Keandre Miller have both gone over 1.5 shots 2 games in a row.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I think
firing. Yeah.
And the whole team's firing, and it's split up very nicely. So you might not want to take like the Seth Jarvis over 3.5, because I don't think that. I mean, when you're getting everybody involved, all 5 guys on the ice, you're looking at the guys that are over 1.5. You're looking at the goal scorers like Jalen Chatfield's even firing the puck.
They're
And you can get
constantly
him in the
going
plus
low to high
1600.
in the offensive zone. Constantly, Carolina.
Exactly. And I think that's even more so tonight, because I just don't think Montreal is going to be able to be skating around in their own end and force the puck out. So I think the Canes, and yeah, like Robert said in the chat, the fourth line has been going everywhere. You can get Jankowski, who I would expect to play some decent minutes tonight, especially if the Canes can put up a decent lead in the first 2 periods. You can get him at the plus 1,000 anytime goal scorer spot. So I think if you're looking at
Stand
goal
up,
scorers, you're
Dundas.
looking at the bottom. Sorry?
Stand up, Dundas. It's my
Yeah.
hometown. Mark Jankowski's from the same place I live. Yeah.
And he's playing his ass off with that fourth line. The fourth line has been incredible. Carrier he's just a human wrecking ball. He's just flying into everything, and it's exciting. And I think if you're looking at goal scorers, you're looking at these long shots. I think everybody gets involved. I think we've seen that. I mean, we've seen that a lot as is. The Canes are not going to rely on Aho and Svech and Jarvis and to get any of the production. I mean, if you look at the shots on goal numbers from game 4, it is just all the way down, just completely spaced out. All the defensemen are getting 2 or 3, and that's how it is. So I think there's going to be a few opportunities for empty netters as well. I think the Canes are going to be up by 2, and I don't know when Montreal would call off the Dogs, but I think we see a few opportunities for some empty netters too. So yeah, I think if you're taking goal scorers, you're going after the bottom of the barrel guys and taking some long shots, because I think there's a really good chance that they're getting involved in scoring.
Yeah, Jordan Stahl, Martinuk, Jarvis. I mean, those are guys that are empty net candidates. I know that off the top of my head. They've scored a lot of empty net goals for the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's something I'll be looking at live, too, is if they're leading in the third, those live empty net goal props. I think we have to go back to Jakub Dobeš over 29.5 saves here as well. I mean, 40 and 36 saves for Dobeš in the last 2 games. Now, I know one of those was an overtime game, but he easily went over his saves prop even in the last game. And that was a game Carolina had a multi-goal lead most of the game. Still flew over his saves prop, Dobeš. So that's probably something you got to look at. Shots on goal are tricky now because there's been so many blocked shots on both sides. Montreal has obviously been the team that's really had to block a shit ton of shots because of the volume Carolina throws at them. There is a blocked shots parlay that I love in this game, and it's 2 Montreal Canadiens defensemen. It's their third pair that are on the ice against Carolina's best players most of the time, and that'll especially be the case here at Lenovo tonight since Carolina has last line change, and that would be Caden Gooley and Alexander Carrier. You could parlay them together at 2 or more blocked shots at plus 100. Carrier has gone over 2.5 blocked shots in 5 straight games for Montreal. So he's blocked 3 or more shots in 5 straight games. Alexander Carrier for the Montreal Canadiens, he's gone over in 5 straight. Caden Gooley's gone over in 2 straight. Over 1.5, as well as 4 of the last 5 games. And to parlay those 2 together, just to each of them get 2 block shots, it's plus 100. Alexander Carrier, Caden Gooley for the Montreal Canadiens. I like that quite a bit. And if you really want to get spicy with this parlay, throw in a little Keandre Miller, 2 or more shots blocked, because he's been the guy that's been blocking a lot. It's usually Slavin for Carolina, and he still does, but it's almost like he's been kind of usurped here a little bit by Keandre Miller, who has gone over 1.5 block shots in 2 straight games. You could even be a little bit more cautious with him. You don't have to put Keandre Miller 2+ block shots, which would be plus 625, by the way. Or no, sorry, it would be plus 400. For Carrier, Gooley, and Miller, all 2 or more block shots would be plus 400. You could go with Miller at just 1 block shot. Still plus 170 on that. So, to be a little more safe. So you could do Carrier 2 or more blocks, Gooley 2 or more blocks, Miller 1 block, parlayed together at plus 170. I think that's a really good one. I really do. I think that's an excellent, excellent parlay look with positive expectation that it can hit with the block shots here tonight for sure. As far as props, I'm always, especially with what I saw the last game, the Hall, Stankoven, and Blake group, could see them finding the back of the net for sure here in this game. I think it's not the worst idea what David's saying. The defenseman might chip in on the scoring here a little bit because they're shooting the puck quite a bit for Carolina. I mean, good luck trying to find goal props for Montreal because, they're not scoring a whole lot. They're not generating much right now. But I would say if I'm going to look at anyone for Montreal, I'm just really narrowing it down to 2 players. Demidov, because he's still been very dangerous in this series. Maybe Hudson, because he can shoot from the blue line, and he jumped into the play and scored a nice goal in game 3 of this series. And also Anderson, because Josh Anderson's just one of those players where, even when they were getting their ass kicked, he's trying to, show at the end of the game, hey, we're not going to get pushed. We're not going to go quietly into the night. So keep that in mind. Those would be some of the looks for Montreal. And just to reiterate on the goal shots on goal trending players, Svechnikov's gone over 2.5 shots in 3 straight. We've got Taylor Hall, Jackson Blake, Keandre Miller, Sean Walker, and Noah Dobson. They've all gone over their shot prop in 2 straight games. So they might be something. They might be players to consider here tonight in Game 5 as far as shots on goal are concerned. Great stuff. A shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. Looking forward to Game 5. The schedule moving forward, just want to make sure people are aware. If the series ends tonight, and I think we all think there's a good chance that could be the case, we will not be back with you until Tuesday. Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern next week will be our next show, and obviously that'll be to tee up the Stanley Cup Final, the series and Game 1 for Carolina Vegas on Tuesday. If Montreal can get the job done, win this game, and force Game 6 back at the Bell Center, we will be with you Sunday to preview that at noon Eastern, and there will be a show Tuesday regardless if it goes to Game 6, because there'll either be Game 7. I don't think there will be, but there would be on Tuesday next week, or game. Actually, no, there wouldn't be, because I've just remembered 6 or 7. The series will start Thursday, so It's either going to be no show till Tuesday, or we're going to be with you Sunday, and then maybe Tuesday and Thursday, or just Sunday and Thursday. So that's what we're looking at as far as the schedule. But I think it's most likely it's going to end tonight, and we'll be seeing you Tuesday on the Ice Guys show for Game 1 and the series to tee it up with the Hurricanes and the Golden Knights, which, by the way, Carolina has home ice in that series, and so would Montreal as well. If they were to somehow pull a miraculous comeback, the Eastern Conference champion will have home ice in the Stanley Cup Final against the Vegas Golden Knights. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us. Hit the like button. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. NHL, NBA playoffs, MLB, CFL starts next week. So check it out. The YouTube channel, lots of great content as well. wizardsportspicks.com. And of course, patreon.com/iceguys. $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. And starting Monday, June 1st, on non-NHL game days, we will have a card posted in the other sports. So my MLB, CFL, et cetera, anytime Alex has something in the UFC, boxing, the combat sports, we'll get that posted on the Patreon page throughout the summer months as well during the off season. So make sure you get on board. Again, your membership goes a long way supporting the show and keeping it going long term. We will have at least a couple betcasts during the Stanley Cup Final as well, dates to be determined. One of them will be the free-for-all, because we do have to do one more free-for-all betcast in June to wrap up the season. So get on board, $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Also starting on Monday, going for 9 days, there will be a sale. It'll be popping up at the store, the Ice Guys store. So definitely check that out starting June 1st. You'll be able to click on that redeem button and hit that and add that to your cart. So we got a lot of great merch. It's summertime. It's a great time to grab a couple T-shirts, maybe grab a cap, maybe, like I said, take advantage of that sale, grab a jacket for next season. But we have a lot of great things to offer here at the Ice Guys store, and you can grab that with the sale starting on June 1st. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Good stuff. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night, Game 5, Eastern Conference Final. Alex, we'll go to you first. Bargain bin special of the night. And by the way, Sebastian Aho, first goal, plus 1,600 for Alex in Game 4. What a call that was to add to the win column here with the bargain bin special segment. What do you got, Alex, for an encore?
Yeah, always nice to hit some of those first goal props that we've been doing most of the year. But this one's not a first goal prop, then a goal prop. Same team, though. We're going with Carolina. And David touched on it, how this, guys who may not always, chip in on the score sheet popping up tonight. And I think one of those guys who he has been, popping up at times on the score sheet. But I think you look at the history of Carolina, one of the names that rings true, whether it's him or his brothers, it's the Stahl family. Give me Jordan Stahl to get a goal here tonight, and it will be a pivotal game for this franchise and this team. Plus 430 anytime goal scorer for him. That's my bargain bin special for the night. Jordan Stahl to get a goal for the Carolina Hurricanes.
There it is, the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, Jordan Stahl, for Alex with his bargain bin special of the night. David, what do you got? Bargain bin special of the night. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
All right, good to go now. There's a lot of ways I wanted to go with lines and a bunch of those goal scorers at the bottom, but I got to go with my guy Keandre Miller having a fantastic series. I'm looking at him for a Conn Smythe odds. He's I think around 80-1 right now, and I think if he gets scoring tonight, I think that's another way to approach it. But I think with how involved he's been, the amount of ice time, I think it's only poetic that he bags one tonight. I think he's in the plus 1,000 range, plus 900 range. He is bargain bin number 1. Bargain bin number 2, I got Alexander Nikishin, anytime goal scorer, plus 1,100. Another guy on the defensive end I think is going to be very involved. He's had 22 shot attempts in the first 4 games. A lot of involvement, stepping into some shots. I think Montreal is going to be a little tired of jumping in front of it. I think Nikishin's going to get on the board as well. And those are my 2 bargain bins of the night.
All right, good stuff. I've got 2. I've got I do have a Montreal one, even though I'm worried about their offense right now, obviously, with what we've seen in the last few games of this series. But I still am going to go with one player from the Montreal Canadiens. And what I'm looking at here as far as, them, their third line at times was a little bit better than what we saw from, some of their other lines as far as, zone time and generating. I'm going to go, and he was physical, and he tried to start things up late in the game when they were getting their ass beat. But we'll go to Josh Anderson for Montreal, plus 650 for my bargain bin special on the Montreal side tonight. And for Carolina, we're going to go with right here from the beautiful town of Dundas, Mark Jankowski, plus 900 at FanDuel. I actually liked his game, and I think he's gone to the net. He's trying to generate traffic, make it difficult for Dobish. And he's doing the things that make you think, even if he doesn't have a shot, he scores without shooting the puck. It could hit him, in front of the net, deflect in off him, and he scores that way. He's got the capability of doing that with what we've seen from him. So Mark Jankowski at plus 900 for Carolina, along with Josh Anderson at plus 650 for Montreal for my 2 bargain bin specials for Game 5 tonight. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
It is going to be absolutely deafening in the Lenovo Center when Carolina gets their final goal of the game, which I think comes via the empty net. plus 165 is the price you can get over at BetMGM. Canes to get an empty net goal as they look to wrap this series up and wrap up an Eastern Conference title.
There you go, Carolina. Empty net goal, plus 165 for Alex with his best bet. David, best bet.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this one. I'm going with a little split. The Hurricanes minus 1.5 plus 110. I think if the Canes are up any amount in regulation, which I don't think it's going to be much of a game. I think we're up by 2 or 3 by empty net time, and I think Montreal is going to be desperate to pull the net. So I'm going with Canes minus 1.5. I like the in regulation minus 150 as well, but I think minus 1.5 and the in regulation bet are just about the same thing. I think Carolina puts the foot on the pedal, and I think it's going to be a great night in Raleigh. So yeah, go Canes, and that's my best bet.
I was going to say that's a college town, Raleigh. It can be, just the way, but the lay of the landscape. I know they've got the Hurricanes, but this is a Friday night. Could you imagine that town if they win tonight? Here tonight, there's going to be some fun going on in Raleigh, North Kakalaki tonight if the Carolina Hurricanes are able to get this done. For me, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it for best bet. Over 1.5 first period. 11 straight for the Montreal Canadiens here in the playoffs. It's up. Even money, again, plus 100. Great price at some books. There's, minus 110. Some books still have plus 100. Like I said, great price. Montreal, Carolina, over 1.5, plus 100 first period for my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button on the way out. Great stuff, David. Stay hydrated in both ways tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to sweat already. It's getting pretty warm out here.
No doubt. These nights don't come around all the time, so enjoy
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Soak it up.
Stanley Cup final, and see your team finish the series at home too. That doesn't happen
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. Final thoughts, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really hope it's going to be an emotional night. Even watching the dominance in Game 4, you're not even there, and it's so incredible to watch because we haven't really gotten to experience anything like this in such a long time. So yeah, it's going to be insane in that building tonight. It is going to be deafening. Friday night, if it wasn't already going to be a big moment, everybody's going to be a little oiled up and ready to go with it being a Friday night. So it's going to be crazy in that building. It's going to be I think something that nobody in Raleigh has really seen in a very long time. So really excited for tonight. Yeah, go Canes.
No doubt.
These are the moments that really galvanize a fan base, and when you're a fan, you truly want to embrace the moment, in all of its ways. So definitely enjoy yourself, David, and have a good time tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
No doubt. Yeah, hope everyone enjoys their tailgates there. Get those roasts going that I know they love doing down there pregame. Get a little, I know it's saltwater taffy is a big thing in North Carolina, so get some of that. Nice little dessert item there after. So, yeah, it should be a great night. Looking forward to it. And like I said, Game 5, and we'll see how it goes. Appreciate everyone joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live every remaining game day during the Stanley Cup playoffs. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast if you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, for David C., I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final, and good luck, and we'll see you, either Sunday or Tuesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.